Okay, as promised, here is a overview of human geography. We're going to look at the sub areas of human geography: cultural, economic, political, population, and settlement geography. Before we do that, I just want to pop out to ABC Clio and just talk a little bit about human geography as an overview. I've highlighted here couple of the key things that geographers do. Human geographers are most fascinated in figuring out why people and the things that they do are found and done where they are. Geographers explore how humans and their culture, economics, politics, and settlement patterns change throughout space and time. They study human processes, how we as humans organize ourselves, interact with the environment, react to environmental changes, move, and disperse ourselves across the Earth's landscape. So let's just go over some of these sub-areas in a little more detail. And I want to start by focusing on cultural geography, which is simply thought of as the social characteristics shared by a particular group of people. Cultures are complex and are generally comprised of numerous characteristics, which include language, religion, food choices, clothing styles, rites of passage, and social activities. Geographers are interested in how cultures vary across space and time. Where do these cultural traits take place? Why do they take place there? Cultures often reflect the physical environment of a place. So how does the buildings look in a place? That's often affected by what materials or resources are available to the people in that place. It's tied to the climate of the region, as well as the resources available there. Cultural geographers also are interested in cultural diffusion, which is the spread or expansion of a culture or elements of a culture through a group's interactions with other groups. They're interested in settlement patterns, transportation routes, the agricultural uses of land and how that impacts culture, the food people eat, the clothes they wear, languages spoken, religion. This is what cultural geographers study. Economic geography is the study of economic systems and processes as they occur across space. What does this mean in everyday language? Economic geographers look at production, trade, and money exchanges, all of which occur in and across places. One of the key things they look at and they talk about in economic geography are the differences between primary activities, secondary activities, tertiary activities, and quaternary activities. And they look at the how and the why societies evolved at the places where they did, the place on Earth. And when we talk about primary activities, we're looking at the extraction of natural resources. By natural resources, we're talking about coal, oil, other minerals that are important for our global economy. And that, if an area of the world, let's say, for example, someplace in Africa has natural resources available to them, all right, how are they getting them to market? They're looking at countries when they're talking about secondary activities, how they transform those raw materials into finished goods. We're talking about manufacturing. And do they have the technology and a labor force and ability to transport those finished goods to market? When we talk about tertiary activities, we're talking about banking, government, education, healthcare. And quaternary activities, we're talking about the ability to collect and process and distribute information. This is large corporations, universities, and other educational institutions. Economists also look at the world economy as a model. It's great for studying, looking at, for example, the costs of globalization. What are the repercussions of globalization? How, for example, an American corporation might move from, let's say, Detroit and take its building of cars. They're no longer built in Detroit. They're globalized. They're being built in different places in the world. What are the costs and consequences for Detroit? How does that impact the people there? Next, we've got political geography. And political geography is the process of organizing space. Political geographers investigate larger and more important organizing decisions about how we as humans divide up territory, water and air, natural resources. Political geography looks at the existing political boundaries at the local, regional, and international level and how those boundaries may change. A great example of how those boundaries may change is a look at the Soviet Union. One of the most, from post-World War II on, the Soviet Union was one of the most prominent political forces on the world stage. It had permanent veto power over any decision the UN made. Yet, in 1991, it suddenly ceased to exist, and 15 new independent states were born out of it. This is something that political geographers would study. Political geographers also look at our globalized world and how we've got institutions like the European Union or NAFTA or ASEAN. These are new political groups that are forming for the purposes of trade. Next, we've got population geography. Population geography, or population geographers, are demographers. They are, and the study of population is referred to as demography. Demographers are obsessed with studying both the composition of populations and how their composition changes over time. They look at stuff like migration. What are the reasons for migration? What are the pushes and pulls that are causing people to migrate? They look at birth rates and death rates. What are the health factors such as diet and medicine and social factors like religion and education that affect birth rate and death rate? They look at healthcare as well as natural disasters and man-made events such as war and their impact on death rate. Demographers might study the ratio between birth and death rates in Uganda over the past 30 years, the percentage of a population that connects to a particular ethnicity. How long will it take a country to double its population at current growth rates? Population geographers study all these things, but they also compare and contrast differences between places and analyze how demographic trends have varied spatially. And finally, settlement geography. Settlements don't just appear in the landscape without a reason. Each settlement has a function or multiple functions in a society. How did that settlement, or why did that settlement appear where it did? How and why has it grown where it did? Did that settlement continue to grow? Is it still growing today? Is it declining? Is it expanding? These are things that settlement geographers would look at. They would look at the patterns of settlements in their relation to one another. How do settlements interact with one another? They may look at urban development and urban growth. They may look at modern urban areas and their impact on the environment. They may also look at rural geography, where agriculture is taking place and how land is being used. These are all things that human geographers looking at human settlement would look at. I hope for those of you who struggled today, this little quick overview was helpful. We'll be discussing this more as you begin your research on your megacity. Thank you.